So how would, say, a householder, with its life and duties and so on, would they be able to practice mindfulness of the body rightly? Like, according to you, how would you explain to them what mindfulness of the body is?
Well, they can practice it if they fulfill certain requirements that will essentially undo all the things that cover up the body for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the Buddha was only teaching mindfulness of the body to, like 99% of the time, to monks, and whenever he taught it to lay people, it's people who already had the right view.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be able to see that body, you have to be emulating those principles that will stop covering up the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there were suttas where it was said that 4 satipatthanas could be used to develop the right view.
Yeah, but if those suttas were taught to monks, so
Mm-hmm.
people who were established in a certain conduct, and
Mm-hmm.
that conduct, the relevance of that conduct is, it is what allows the body to be discerned. It doesn't cover it up anymore.
So what's covering it up?
Well, actions rooted in greed and aversion, not keeping the precepts.
Mm-hmm. So acting out against the precepts covers up the body.
Yeah, even if you make all the effort in the world to see it within your breaking of the precepts,
It won't be the body you're looking at.
Yeah, those actions cover it up simply by being done.
And say if you are not doing those actions, but you are not making the effort to see it, would that uncover it?
If you truly are disengaged from all of those actions, even by mind, then yes, the body would be uncovered.
And how do I disengage? So I'm keeping the precepts, but how do I disengage by mind?
Well, it's you want to see not just specific directions of action, but anything where a certain...
What do you mean specific directions? Speak
So
in
like the
layman's
precepts,
terms, just practically.
like the precepts, you don't want to just think, oh, okay, I'm not killing, I'm not stealing, celibate and all this, and then everything else is fine.
Mm-hmm.
You want to also...
Everything else not defined by the precepts is fine.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be seeing that. I shouldn't be thinking that.
Yeah, you shouldn't be thinking that just because it's not against the precepts, it's fine.
It's fine. So what then constitutes fine and not fine?
Well, you want to see what's your intention or your mental state behind doing it, or attending to it.
Examples?
So, let's say, take somebody who is established in the precepts, but then is doing one of these breath-focusing absorption practices that are very popular today, and they don't realize that that very attempt to attend and concentrate and focus is based on a certain mental pressure that mirrors exactly the same principle of sensuality and like the precepts that...
But what if somebody says, well, I have no pressure to do it, doing it, because it's neutral, pleasant, calming.
But what happens if you don't do it?
What's the problem with that? Well, nothing happens if I don't do it.
Well,
but I choose to do it. Is there a problem in doing it neutrally?
The problem still is, even if it's neutral, that's not the place where you will find the body, because the body is not at the level of sensations.
So the sensations, the internal sensations of the breath, the whole kind of sense of breathing that I'm attending to, is not the body.
No, those are just tactile sensations, and they don't have any special significance just because of the position where they are.
So then, if attending to your breath is not where the body is, why did the Buddha teach the mindfulness of breathing in order to develop the mindfulness of the body?
Well, because the Buddha wasn't nowhere in the Anapanasati descriptions does it talk about sensations. It doesn't even talk about breathing as something that you observe. It talks about it as an action, something that you train in. So it's not about it. At no point does it say that it's about attending. And
so what is it about then?
Well, it's about maintaining the perspective of the actual body. That's the basis for your attention while you're acting through breathing.
So maintaining the perspective of the actual body. What is the actual body then?
Well, once that actual body has been, it's that basis for your entire domain of your six senses that's left.
Again, that's just getting too abstract now.
It's
Practically speaking,
Uh-huh.
I want to be mindful of the body. I read the mindfulness of the breathing sutta. You're telling me I shouldn't be attending to breath, should know the basis or something, but like what? Okay, I'm not attending to the breath. What do I do to see that body?
well, it's not something that you do. It's not a positive object that you can clarify through some effort. It's something that has to be uncovered.
Okay, so what? How do I uncover it?
Well, having assumed that you're then established in the precepts, as we said
Okay, I
before.
take on the precepts.
Yeah.
I take on, as you said, just because it's not against the precept doesn't mean it's not an obstruction.
Mm.
So I recognize the intentions, the pressures, the compulsions, even towards seemingly good things, but I don't do it because it's rooted in the wrong things.
Mm.
Anything else? Or would that mean like I'm now seeing the body correctly?
If you're established in that, yes.
And even if I don't make the effort to see it?
Well, you have to make effort to not do the things that will cover it up. You don't have to make effort to see it as
Right.
a
Yeah, so
positive
that's what
action.
I'm asking.
Yeah.
So then if I'm established in these modes of behavior rightly,
Mm-hmm.
not just keep the precepts in that external sense, and you know I have a because I've been like say following what you say, listening to talks, reading the writings, and keeping the precepts, practicing sense restraint, but I also have obviously a strong urge, hope that will reveal the body to me.
Mm. Yeah, well, if you...
Is that fine?
Acting out of it is not fine.
Acting out of that strong
Compulsion,
urge,
yeah.
hope.
To find the body, yeah. You have to not deny it and try to get rid of it, but you have to see...
So if I'm doing all the practices you describe, and I can't help but hope that that's going to reveal the true body to me, I shouldn't be acting out of that either.
No. You should include it just as you were including all the other things, like pressure to break the precepts arose.
How do I include it? How do I include my hope to see because you know it's like a factual goal I'm striving to.
Mm.
So how do I include that goal of seeing the body correctly and not falling into a trap? How do I include it?
By not acting out of it.
How do I act out of it?
Taking it for granted and starting to do things out of that hope.
So the hope that I feel towards that body being revealed to me.
Trying to clarify it, trying to see it
clarify it.
more, trying to rehash your ideas about it, all of that, you're taking up that hope.
So intentionally choosing to sort of
mentally yeah.
kind of push down further.
Yeah.
So then if, say, okay, I don't do that now,
Hmm.
is that enough? What do I do? Just stay with that? Or
Well...
So not acting out of body, not acting out of
Yeah.
speech, recognizing mental intentions, and now the pressuring hope of seeing the body rightly, because, you know, ultimately I want to be free from suffering. I recognize that pressuring compulsion as a trap. You mentioned I don't try to get rid of it. I don't act out of it as in like, okay, I'm going to rehash this and keep thinking about it so it gets quicker. So I don't do that either. Then what?
Well, you need to protect that because other things will be coming up that will be trying to absorb you out of pressure.
Mm-hmm. So then protecting it from being recovered, so to speak.
Yeah.
Covered again.
Because it's not a once and done deal. Other things, like it's as the Buddha said in one sutta, it's like Mara trying to grab a footing through whichever sense object it can to get you to act out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you just, you did everything and you just sit down and forget about it. It's something that you have to protect.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm protecting it patiently, presumably for as long as it takes, can I then do the mindfulness of breathing? Can I then do the anapanasati?
Well, if it's not again coming out of a special expectation that you have from it, and you're just I just want to further push further.
Okay, so if it's coming out of the expectation,
Mhm.
it's a wrong practice.
Yeah, you
It's
shouldn't
not
do it
the
until-
right form of anapanasati
Yeah.
that the Buddha described. So how do I do the right one?
If you are,
I do have expectation.
Yeah.
So does that mean I cannot do anapanasati?
well, you shouldn't do it with the expectation, like as a hoping like, okay, sure, the expectation is there, but if I just do the practice, somehow it will sort itself
Mhm.
out. No, you have to.
Don't add on top of it.
Yeah, the practice is in regard to that expectation, not like.
So how do I practice anapanasati in regard to the expectation that I have from anapanasati?
Well, that's why I said before, the practice of anapanasati hinges on you seeing that body as a
Okay, well, you could
peripheral
ask the
basis.
same question for the body. I still have expectation that the actual body, the real body, will be revealed.
Yeah.
How do I practice the revealing of the actual body, protecting of the actual body, with expectations of seeing the actual body?
Well, the thing is, expectations being there, expectations arisen and you acting out of them are two separate things.
So I'm not acting out,
Yeah.
but the expectation is there. But anything I do on account of it, wouldn't that be like back onto anapanasati? So
Mhm.
I have the expectation that practice of anapanasati would lead to certain revelation,
Mhm.
insights, and so on.
Mhm.
I'm not acting out of it, so I'm not doing it. But does that mean I can't do anapanasati at all? I can't approach mindfulness of the body through breath because this expectation is in the way, because whatever I do would be kind of rooted in that expectation.
Well, but that's the thing. Expectation can be there, but you taking it for granted, hoping to get the result of it, that doesn't follow automatically. So if you see the
that's not what I'm
expectation,
asking. So I'm not taking it for granted.
uh-huh.
Is there any other way I could relate to breathing that would not be rooted in that expectation? Or do I need to completely abandon any notion of practice of mindfulness of the body through breathing? So presumably, I've clarified it to that level through not acting out body, speech, mind, watching my intentions, not taking for granted the desire to clarify the body, not acting out of that further passionately, containing it. Is that anapanasati already? Or can I do something actually that would not necessarily automatically be coming out of that expectation?
Well, you could undermine the expectation if you're seeing the body rightly. But yes, so like we said, not acting out of the expectation, seeing the body already there, coming before it, and then breathing.
So seeing the body coming before an expectation
Yeah.
that I have of seeing the body.
Yeah.
Can you explain that? I mean, it's...
Well, if you haven't been acting out of the expectation,
Mm-hmm.
because again, even if you take that up and then try to see the body, it's not going to work. So that's there, and then what's revealed by you not taking the expectation for granted is that kind of physical basis of, you could say, for example, your lungs being functional.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a theoretical idea you have to clarify. It's like a factual just state
Mm-hmm.
that even if you were to overlook it, it would still be there, and it's the entire reason that you're alive.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to that will become clear if you haven't been acting out of all these unwholesome things, and then maintaining the, let's say, peripheral sight of that fact of functioning lungs, you could say,
Mm-hmm.
breathing simultaneously with that without overemphasizing one or the other.
So, but I'm still doing the breathing.
You're doing it, but with this at the same time. You don't let the breathing become the kind of fully focused, concentrated effort.
Yeah, okay.
It has to happen
I'm
simultaneously.
not talking about necessarily, as I said, in the coarsest,
Yeah.
misguided ways of meditation technique.
Yeah.
But again, the point is like, is there a way that I can do the breathing rightly as a form of mindfulness of the body practice?
Yeah, so if you are balancing the two, so to speak, if you're not trying to
But I mean, the
over-clarify the
sutta
body.
doesn't really say that you have to balance breathing with anything else. At no point do I need to set prerequisites
Well, it says
for balancing.
mindfully he breathes in, mindfully he breathes out.
Okay.
So there has to be a knowledge while you're breathing, not just the breathing. Yeah, so you need to do the breathing, but in a way that clarifies that aspect, because you're breathing all the time, but this aspect is not being discerned.
So how do I do the breathing in order to clarify that aspect? If whenever I do the breathing is rooted in hope of the revelation of the aspect.
Well, in that act of breathing, if you don't focus on it too much,
Mm-hmm.
having that hope or expectation, like we said, you don't act out of it, this background domain can be discerned.
By not focusing too much on the breathing.
Yeah.
So by doing it but not focusing on it.
Yeah.
How's that possible? How can we be doing something consciously without focusing on what you're doing? What constitutes too much?
Well, you're actively trying to make that the only thing in your experience. It's an extra effort that people make on top to kind of isolate this from everything else, and that part is not necessary.
So if I'm not isolating it,
Yeah,
and I'm just doing it,
then
that's okay.
yes, as long as you keep sight on that motivation, like we said, or that attitude behind it. Because the attempt to try to isolate it doesn't necessarily arise as an option. It's when those expectations begin to arise and you overlook them. So
that sounds kind of like what you're describing sounds like a reference point. Breathing becomes a reference point.
Yeah.
Because reference point is obviously not something you're directly occupied with all the time. It's just something that's placed, that then things are referred to as they come.
Yeah, so that's exactly why you wouldn't be able to make it an object, because then...
Well, I can make it an object, but you're saying I shouldn't.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't be able to do it rightly.
Oh, right.
Because it would cease to be a reference point.
Reference
it would
point,
become...
if it becomes an object,
Exactly.
it ceases to be a reference point. So breathing as a practice of mindfulness, if it's done as a concentration practice or focusing practice, it ceases to be a reference point because it becomes an object.
Yeah.
And but if that object, as I said, it's neutral and it provides me with calm, overall factor, I'm calmer after I make breathing my object.
Mm-hmm.
Could you remind me what the problem with that is?
Well, it's a problem if you think that that's clarifying the satipatthana of the body.
So it's not the body that I'm... it's not the actual body that I'm concentrating on, and the calm that I experience, it's not the calm on account of establishing the satipatthana.
Yeah, because just ask yourself, after doing that calming practice, like we said before, if your oxygen were to be cut off, would that practice have made you dispassionate in regard to that possibility? And
Sorry? I don't understand that.
Like, if that calming, focusing practice you did, would that have made you imperturbable in the face of your oxygen being depleted? Because the suttas say the practice of anapanasati leads to arahantship, so it should lead you to dispassion and non-ownership of that body. So yes, factually, like, you can do that, but if you think that that's the anapanasati that the Buddha taught, which would lead to that result, then obviously, well, you're missing out on the actual result that you should be looking for.
So the calming that I get on account of making breathing a meditation object is not the it's not something that would make me unafraid
Of death,
of death.
which is the purpose of the practice. So then that's not anapanasati. That in any, if your definition of anapanasati is that kind of focusing, that has nothing to do with the path anymore. So it's not anapanasati.
So then, but say the knowledge
Mm-hmm.
of the breath or the lungs or the heart
Mm-hmm.
being possibly cut off at any given point in the
Mm-hmm.
future, would that make me unafraid of death?
Well, yeah, you can see the direct connection, because as soon as you start thinking about it, you'll probably see this fear and apprehension coming up. So you can see, oh, this is exactly something that I wouldn't want to think about, something that I wouldn't want to maintain
Reveal.
clarity of,
Mm.
because it kind of has that jarring aspect to it, that it would be easier just not to think about it, even if it is factually the case.
Mm-hmm. So, like, what guarantees a successful thinking about it? You know what I mean? So it's like, I want to think about it, but yes, it's jarring, it's frightening. How do I make sure I do it rightly, or it doesn't become too much? Or
Well, that jarringness should never take you to the point where you start acting out and compromising all the prerequisites that allowed you to reveal and see this.
Prerequisites such as the
Precepts, sense restraint, not acting out of unwholesome intentions, even
So-
mentally.
So if I already have been doing that, training in that, then when these jarring pressures come to run or panic on account of on account of not being moved by the prospect of death,
You don't compromise what you were established in, no matter what.
and that would help. How would that help?
Well, because the jarringness and all the kind of
Intensity.
bad things that you might be getting out of it, it's maintained that way because in the past, whenever those fears would come up, you would try to cover them up somehow.
Mhm.
So now, when
So
that's
it's like the fear gets worse if you run from it.
yeah, that's how you maintain it.
That's how you stay afraid.
Yeah.
So if you don't run from it, that fear would disappear.
Yeah, it's like an exposure therapy, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suppose, yeah. So then, if the anapanasati were to be done like that, then yeah, indeed there is a direct connection between not being afraid of death and successful practice of anapanasati.
Yeah, you would need to introduce a second step of get the magical insight of something else, and then you become an arahant.
The simple absence of fear would be a proof.
Yeah. Absence of fear in relation to the body breaking apart.
The most kind of fundamental threat to your existence.
Yeah.
And I guess, that would be calming in and of itself. The fact that you cannot be afraid. So then that practice of anapanasati, or more broader practice of the mindfulness of the body, just to recap, would be then on the level of withdrawing yourself from unwholesome through keeping the precepts, restraining from sensuality, coarse by body sensuality, subtler sensuality by speech, mental sensuality acting out of
Hindrances in general.
hindrances in general. So, and then discerning the kind of the nature of what's left there, regardless of what you're hoping to come out of it or not. Because whether I hope or not, that breathing will reveal the body, or the restraint would reveal that which actual body is. Whether I hope or not, what's there is the body is there.
Yeah.
That which resulted in withdrawal from sensuality is there. We don't even have to call it the body. The breath is there. Whether I choose to do it or not, choose to overdo it or not, underdo it or not, the body is breathing.
And the threat to its continuation is also there at the same time.
Yeah. So you can always connect with it on the right level, so to speak, indirectly.
If you're, not covering it up through all these other things.
So, but what if I'm doing these practices and there is no fear coming up?
Well,
Am I doing something wrong, or?
not necessarily. If you are sure, perfectly sure that you haven't been doing all the, if all these prerequisites of your behavior are well established, then
Which they are.
if fear doesn't come up, you don't have to then, like, are you going to become afraid of that fear isn't coming up, and start like trying to get it back going? Then you're putting your head into the situation, whereas the whole point is to...
So if the fear is not coming up, and I recognize, okay, I'm not panicking on account of that, or feeling that I must invoke the fear, then does that, like, protecting that apply to this? Then you just protect it.
Yeah, and then the fear
See what comes up.
Yeah,
so
because then, see, even in that moment where you realize, oh, the fear isn't coming up, you might realize that's moving you now. Like, you might, those same expectations we were talking about before that would pollute the entire practice would be coming up right then and there, because you expect to accelerate by getting more fear, more this, more that, but then that's exactly what we said before, would be covering up the body. So you have to, well,
contain that.
Yeah, regardless of how it feels, the point of it is not to get a specific experience out of it. The point is to maintain that perspective, regardless of whatever comes up.
Okay. So it's not about a specific experience, regardless of the hope, but maintaining the whole setup.
Yeah. And that's going to feel...
Even if there is a specific experience?
Yeah.
Because there might be, and there factually probably will be, to some extent.
Yeah.
Some degree of novelty, some degree of revelations or insight. That's not what I should emphasize.
No. You will fall from the practice if you start emphasizing that.